A rap artist from Kansas City is gunned down and killed in Las Vegas. Tonight, some on the street are wondering, is it revenge for the murder of a West Coast rapper here? Good evening, everyone. That murder last fall in Kansas City is still unsolved.
According to the investigators that I actually interviewed while doing American Gangster, they were all saying that Fat Tone wasn't the guy who did it.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
Nah.
Andre Dow isn't getting out of prison anytime soon. An attempt by the West Coast rapper known as Mac Minister to get his murder conviction tossed out failed. Clark County District Court Judge Michelle Levitt denied his request after hearing hours of testimony.
I'm here for 2 counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. 2 counts of conspiracy to commit murder that gave me 4 lives without the possibility of parole.
What happens when revenge becomes a headline in yet another hip-hop murder case? After Mac Dre was gunned down, his alleged killer, Fat Tone, was found dead just months after. And standing at the center of it all was Mac Minister. But was he really behind the hit, or was he just a convenient fall guy? And this is the real story the streets still talk about.
I refuse to submit to a frame-up. I'm not, even when I went to court, they offered me a 1 to 10. They was like, man, we give you a 1 to 10. You already got 4 years in. You can do 2. So take the 1 to 10. And I told him, I'm not taking the 1 to 10 seconds.
Now, Mac Dre wasn't just a rapper to folks in Vallejo and the Bay Area. He was a whole vibe, yeah. Yo, he was like a legend in the streets and the game. One of the real ones behind the hyphy movement. Your boy Dre mixed game, jokes, and that wild energy only the Bay could bring. Dre stayed independent and ran his own label, This Entertainment, and was always on the move, linking up with artists all over the country. One of those cities he started hitting up heavily was Kansas City. But this is where the story takes a turn. In November 2004, right after killing a show at a KC nightclub, Mac Dre was in a van rolling down US Route 71 when shots rang out. Dre was hit and killed. Now the driver made it out, but Dre didn't. That news hit hard, not only in the Bay, but all over the hip-hop community.
The music scene in the Bay was affected by the death of Mac Dre.
Well, Mac Dre went out like a martyr, you know what I mean? He was like,
Yeah.
he's the guy. So you got Too Short and E40. Everybody's gonna say, man, they the ones that set it off. And then you got Mac Dre and Keek the Sneak. And they came along and they just, took all the youngsters and just whipped them in a frenzy and the hyphy movement.
Yeah.
And when Mac Dre got killed, it was like Martin Luther King in the Bay. You know what I mean? It was that kind of loss.
Would you compare it almost similar to like how when Nipsey got killed to Los Angeles?
It's the same thing. It's the same Biggie, Pac. It's the same loss. And they stole his headstone.
Mac Dre's death had the whole scene on edge. Rappers from Kansas City didn't want to step foot in the Bay, and Bay cats were just as nervous about pulling up in Killer City. Folks didn't know who was really behind it or who might be, so everybody was moving real cautious. The tension was thick. It wasn't just rap beef no more. It felt like some street war could pop off at any moment. It was that serious.
I wasn't able to go there for a while because at that time I was on the cover of Murder Dog with a gun like this, with red spiked hair, with Kansas City.
It started a Kansas City and Bay Area beef. After Dre died, I never went back to Kansas City for hella long.
And out of nowhere, one name popped out as the possible perpetrator of the crime, and it was Kansas City rapper Fat Tone. First got noticed around age 14 when he spit a freestyle for Sacramento rap legend Sibo during one of his KC shows. Sibo was impressed, and that moment kicked off Tone's connection with the Bay Area rap scene.
Fat Tone wound up coming to my hotel room. He was a young kid, about 15 or some shit, right? And he was hyped up. Man, cuz, put me on, man. I can rap, right? I can rap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we like, let that little rap, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and he rapped and shit. We like, okay, yeah. So from there, we was like, okay, I'm gonna fuck with you.
But Tone wasn't just known for his bars. In the streets, he had a serious rep. He was a feared member of the 51st Street Crips and was known for being deep in the streets of Killer City. People said he moved recklessly and had bodies tied to his name, including the alleged killing of a pregnant teenage girl, though nothing was ever proven.
Did you know the shit that he was dealing with in the city, in KC?
Not all the time. I come down and don't know what the hell this did. Then robbed 7, shot 3 of them.
Real
I don't know
shit.
what the going on.
Real shit. He
And
always had some shit.
You feel me?
You was
I
a
stopped going
moving
down
target,
there.
bro. You
I
was
stopped
a-
with
yeah.
Tone. I said, this nigga too wild. I think I would.
Fat Tone was the type of guy to have survived a bunch of attempts on his life. Sibo told a wild story about being with Tone and his cousin Chuck Little John in Kansas City when some folks chased them down in a car, blasting at them with 2 AK-47s. Fat Tone caught 2 bullets in the back, but somehow he pulled through.
Time we get to the next light, here they come again. They done reloaded, you feel me? They done reloaded and came back. Boom, they on us again. Boom, 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 boom. This one they hit Tone. Tone like, I'm hit, boom.
Now, here's where things really got messy. Fat Tone and Mac Dre were cool. They had worked together before. And Tone had even linked up with Dre the same weekend he got killed. Rumors started flying that Fat Tone and Mac Dre got into it at the club that night over stage time. But the truth was, Dre had argued with the show promoter, not Tone.
Some sort of altercation happened.
Yeah, something happened.
Something happened at that
Well, you know, I'm gonna say this is speculation. Something happened at the after party,
Right.
But it wasn't nothing of. It was more of an argument with Dre and the promoter,
Right.
Because the promoter wanted Dre to stay. And Dre, like, I did my job. Let me get my money. Let's leave. So they basically had that little.
Then came the real heat. People started saying Fat Tone had a song where he rapped a line that made it sound like he had something to do with Mac Dre's death. But nobody could ever find the track. No title, no verse, no nothing. It was like the song never existed. But by then, the streets had already picked a side. And Fat Tone was supposedly the guy to blame for Mac Dre's death.
It's sad because, you know, no disrespect to nobody in Kansas City, but what threw Fat Tone in that loop, I think he made a song saying that he killed the Thizzle Man or some shit in the Thizzle van or some shit like that.
It was a rumor about that song, but that song never actually existed.
So it's never.
You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
You know how the streets talk and they're playing telephone and it gets
shit.
it
Hey
gets
man,
more
he
fucked
said he
up.
killed the Thizzle Man. Yeah, so
Because I interviewed his crew,
Right.
and they said that song never existed.
never existed.
And once the streets started buzzing with rumors that he had something to do with it, Fat Tone dropped a track called Y'all Can't F With a G, where he rapped over 50 Cent's Candy Shop beat, calling out the streets for throwing dirt on his name and trying to pin Dre's murder on him. Tone made it clear he wasn't having it, but by then, the rumors had already taken on a life of their own.
Welcome to the murder show. Y'all can't f with a G. I'm tired of you suckers.
About 6 months after Dre's death in May 2005, Fat Tone and another Kansas City rapper, Jermaine Cowboy Akins, were found dead in the outskirts of Las Vegas. Both of them had been shot up multiple times and dumped near a construction site. Now, there was no sign of robberies, no fight, nothing. Just a cold, clean, double homicide. Now, the man the streets and the cops started pointing at was a dude named Mac Minister.
Andre Dow isn't getting out of prison anytime soon. An attempt by the West Coast rapper known as Mac Minister to get his murder conviction tossed out failed. Clark County District Court Judge Michelle Levitt denied his request after hearing hours of testimony. Dow was convicted in 2008 for double murder in Las Vegas in 2005. The victims, Kansas City rappers Anthony Fat Tone Watkins and Jermaine Cowboy Akins.
Back in 2005, Fat Tone linked up with Mac Minister during a trip to Vegas, and the two got real close for a while. Mac Minister was a part-time rapper / comedian who had a lot of chaos around him, but he knew how to make himself seem useful. He told Fat Tone he had a connection to Snoop Dogg and could set it up so Tone could open for the Dogg Father at a show. Tone was down for it, so he pulled up to Vegas with his boy Cowboy for the supposed Snoop meet.
So you said you seen Tone on the block, or you seen him somewhere, and he said he was about to go meet Snoop.
I seen him at my old house, and he said he's going to meet Snoop.
How long after this was that Dre got killed?
I don't know what was the distance. It was shortly after. That's what everybody was trying to say, but Tone had got killed. It was in the summertime, I know that.
They linked up with Mac Minister and another dude named Coleon, but things weren't smooth. Tone and Minister weren't vibing right, especially since Tone was hitting it big at the casino and stacking chips, while Minister was moving weird. Tone kept asking about Snoop, when the meeting was happening, and where it was going down, but Mac Minister just kept feeding him hope, no solid answers. Eventually, he told Tone the show was set for Tuesday, but by then, Tone was over it and ready to dip out of Vegas. Surveillance footage later caught Fat Tone and Cowboy walking out of the MGM Grand Casino with Mac Minister. That was the last time they were seen alive. Early that morning, Fat Tone and Cowboy were found dead with their bodies dumped near a construction site.
A rap artist from Kansas City is gunned down and killed in Las Vegas. Tonight, some on the street are wondering, is it revenge for the murder of a West Coast rapper here? Good evening, everyone. That murder last fall in Kansas City is still unsolved.
Now, a Kansas City rapper named Fat Tone is killed in Las Vegas. Peggy Bright is live at Kansas City Police Headquarters with the story. Peggy?
Kelly, police here knew him as Anthony Watkins. But in the world of hip-hop, he was known as Fat Tone, a 24-year-old rapper who, for sometimes reasons that he did not want, made a name for himself both locally and nationally.
After Fat Tone and Cowboy were killed, the cops started looking real close at Mac Minister and Coleon. They believed the two were tied to a white Pontiac Sunfire that had been spotted leaving the crime scene. But here's where it got strange. Just 2 days after the murders, that same car turned up burned out in Vallejo, California, which just happens to be Mac Dre's hometown. Police figured it was no coincidence. They thought the car was torched on purpose, maybe to throw them off and make it look like the killers were from the Bay. It was revealed that the Pontiac belonged to Lee Lawson. Word was she was working the streets in Vegas for Mac Minister and Coleon. On November 2nd, 2005, Mac Minister and Coleon got hit with official murder charges. Coleon was already behind bars in San Francisco for beating his girlfriend, but Mac Minister was still on the run. As for Lee Lawson, she was found shot dead in a quiet neighborhood 2 days after the suspects were indicted. Police believe she had some serious dirt on Coleon, which is probably why she was killed. And just when all hope seemed lost, Coleon's baby mama stepped up to save the day. She said she'd been too scared to talk before, but after he attacked her, she finally broke her silence. She told cops that her baby daddy called her while he was still out in Vegas and was acting suspicious during the conversation over the phone.
And we've come here to talk to you about a man that you know, Jason Mathis.
Yes.
Okay, and you know that we're investigating the murder of two men that happened in Las Vegas back in May.
I do.
Okay. All right. Tell me how you know Jason.
I know Jason because I have a child with him.
Okay. And how old is your baby?
He's going to be 2 in November the 21st.
Okay. And you know that Jason has been living in Las Vegas?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Jason recently came up here to the Bay Area, is that right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Do you know what caused him to come up here?
Because he was wanted for questioning for murder.
Okay. And how do you know that?
Because that's what he told me.
Okay. Tell me what he told you.
Okay. On the night of the murder, he actually called me when he was still in Las Vegas.
Corleone's arrest warrant backed this up, stating he admitted to the killings as payback for what happened to Dre. Meanwhile, Mac Minister was still on the run. But after his face showed up on America's Most Wanted, someone anonymous dropped a tip that helped police close in on him. Not long after that anonymous tip came in, police tracked Mac Minister down in a San Francisco apartment. Before he got captured, dude was out here promoting his album, The Minister of Defense, which he had just wrapped up recording. The same album dropped a few months later, right after he got locked up. As for the album, it raised a lot of eyebrows, as it had lines about being on the run, the murder he was accused of, and even mention of an AK-47, the same kind of gun that took out Fat Tone and Cowboy.
Mac Minister was finally arrested in a San Francisco apartment in March 2006. During his arrest, Mac Minister was promoting his album that he had recently finished recording, The Minister of Defense. The album released not too long after his arrest in September 2006. There is tons of questionable songs and verses on this album that related to him being indicted.
Mac Minister and Corleone were tried and found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. And in 2008, they both got hit with 4 life sentences. Damn. Without the possibility of parole. Mac Minister continues to plead his case to this day, doing interviews and claiming that he was set up.
I refuse to submit to a frame-up. I'm not, even when I went to court, they offered me a 1 to 10. They was like, man, we give you a 1 to 10. You already got 4 years in. You can do 2. So take the 1 to 10. And I told him, I'm not taking a 1 to 10 seconds.
But no matter how you look at it, the case of Mac Dre and Fat Tone still haunts the hip-hop world today. I mean, look, it's got everything. An unsolved murder, wild rumors, and the loss of 2 rappers who had so much more to give. That's a shame. And you know what else would be a shame? If you don't comment. So go ahead, comment, like, and share. And while you're at it, get that merch. There you go, there you go, there we go. Get that Rap Rewind merch. This is the Bronx, but they got Brooklyn, they got Manhattan, they got Staten Island, they got Queens. Just repping New York City. Bronx, baby. I'm Brooklyn, though. But yo, it's dope. So go ahead and purchase it. And I'll see you back later on another episode, another post, whatever you want to call it, of Rap Rewind. Thank you for hanging out with us again. Love and blessings.